Well, since we got an unknown mysterious DLC probably coming out, I don't really want to start a new park build right now. So instead, we're going to do the long-awaited tier list ranking here of all the dinosaurs, well, all the animals in the game. We'll go alphabetical, I think. So we'll start with Acrocanthosaurus here at the very front end of the alphabet. Now, I've got a fondness for the acro, which is generally disconnected from the acro being an acro. I just like the way it looks in game as a creature. Some people are deeply offended by the acro, but I am not one such person. It's got a decent set of skins. Like there's some fairly colorful things you can do and some fairly muted things you can do, which is always nice. Some dinosaurs veer too far one direction or the other. Also has some nice, just like, colors in general. Yeah, I like the acro overall. I think he's good. Alright, let's rank him. I'm going to put the acro in A. That's where he goes. I like him, but he's not my favorite thing, but he's up there. He's fairly high. Alamosaurus. Now, interesting design on the Alamo. It's obviously our newest sauropod. It's got a pretty good color palette for sauropods too. I like the stripe on the head. That's nice. But it's not like the best color palette. It's only nice, like, really in comparison to other sauropods, which are, like, by and large exceedingly mediocre. I like the armoring on the body. I like the, like, vertebral spines on the neck. That's what I assume those are supposed to be. It's usually a thing that's seen in, like, Apatosaurus reconstructions, where it's got, like, spikes coming off the bottom of the neck and pairs, which are actually extensions of the vertebra. Yeah, don't know if there's much motivation for these spines. Interestingly enough, Apatosaurus is a diplodocid, and Diplodocus also has these, like, spines in the back. So for whatever reason, they've given this, I think it's a Saltosaurine Titanosaur, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, Saltosaurs are Titanosaurs, but I don't know as much about sauropods as I do some other groups of dinosaurs. But it seems like they gave this, let's just go with Titanosaur, a lot of Diplodocan traits, which is kind of weird. Still, I mean, it's got a fairly unique role. It does have color palette that is, something. Where is it in the list? Okay, he's way down here because the DLC things are down far. I think this is still a pretty good dinosaur. Yeah, this is tough. See, the problem is just like sauropods in general, right? There's like this is like also a weird design for me because it mixes some things I like with some things I don't as much. So we're gonna put it in B. It wins points for color palette. It loses points for like the spines in the back of the neck, which feel out of place. I do like the armor though on the body. Yeah, Albertosaurus, number 3. This guy has kind of a weird gloss to him. Kind of sucks. Decent selection of colors. The pattern's not bad. Like you get some neat looking combos. Like that. But he's still like very smooth looking. I don't like hate him. He's pretty inoffensive ultimately. This is like very middle of the road. You know what? I'm gonna say I like more creatures in this game than I don't. And since this is middle of the road, I think that actually puts it in C tier. Just because I think we're gonna end up front loading a lot here. Yeah, I think that's where I'll put the Albertosaurus. It's not bad. It's got some upsides. I think bad is essentially going to be my D tier. I think that's how we'll do this. Allosaurus. Now, does this tier list have... Oh, shoot, if I scroll, it scrolls on the screen. Don't scroll. Remember this. It's fine. Let's not worry about it. Does this have the Allosaurus variant? No. So I don't think this list, yeah, this list only has the variants that actually have skin patterns. Okay. Allosaurus is an interesting case. If we had the variant, I think it would be ranked essentially the same. I like the Dominion / Battle at Big Rock Allosaurus just fine. I'd like Frontiers probably a little bit more, but they're very close. I kind of like them for different reasons. Like, I like the Battle of Big Rock Allosaurus as a franchise design. I like the Frontier Allosaurus as just a dinosaur design. The pattern's not the greatest, but it's certainly serviceable. You can still do some pretty good stuff. It's all around a good looking dinosaur though. I like this. I like the Allosaurus a lot. That's one of my favorite large carnivores, like in general and in the game. So I think this is our first S, but I think it's probably loses some points for having somewhat limited patterns. Like the patterns aren't the best. They're not bad. I do like that the horns have color on them, but like the color of the horns changes minimally. Like they're generally red or pink at the very tips, and then the color further down on the horn changes, and that's it. And that's kind of eh. It'd be cool if there was a lot more color options that affected the horns. Yeah, that's something they can do for Jurassic World Evolution 3 is like do two patterns, two separate regions of the body that are colored independently. There you go. That's a winner. Margosaurus. So, Amargasaurus, the feet are actually like sauropod feet, which is cool. Apparently, the newest science on Amargasaurus in general says the sail should be covered in skin, but you can't hold that against the game because that is literally very new science. Pattern is pretty bland, but noticeable, which puts it ahead of a lot of other sauropods. The range of colors isn't awful, but I don't really love the Amarga. It's okay. It's I think I'm gonna put it in low B on the merits of like accuracy. And just because a lot of sauropods are pretty poor in this game. Anki. So, the Anki. I like me a 2001 Anki. This is probably actually my favorite JP3 design, which is like heresy to a lot of people, but I'm not overly fond of JP3. I really like the black with like the red on the face. I think that's really cool. But this is not ranking the JP3 Anki. This is ranking the whole creature. It's inaccurate. The colors are pretty poor. The way they're applied is uninspired. The pattern is very little of anything. Yeah, the Anki's pretty poor here. I'm going to put it ahead of the Alberto on the merits of the 2001 pattern. Otherwise, it goes behind it. I think Anki without the 2001 goes in like D tier. Patasaurus is an easy D tier. We don't even need to discuss this mediocre creature. The patterns suck. The colors suck. The design's not great. Yeah. Archaeornithomimus. Now this is a weird one because it's got an interesting pattern, a wide range of colors, but it's a weird looking, very fat looking boy. And it's kind of weird. It is my least favorite Ornithomimosaur. I think this is a C tier though, because this is not awful. I'm gonna put it ahead of Alberto, behind Anki. I think that's fine. Atrociraptor. Now, here's a dinosaur that very recently I kind of changed some of my opinions on. Now, what I'm noticing here, though, is these patterns feel a little limited. Yeah, so the blue that's standing out there in that pattern, for instance, feels super random where it's placed. I think we really lucked out in the last park build and we got just one of the best looking Atrociraptors. Yeah, I think we're gonna double back on opinions, and I think the Atrociraptor is actually pretty poor again. Um, yeah, we had the one color palette I liked, it turns out, so we're putting this back down to D. It's pretty poor. Sorry, Atrociraptor. There was a moment in time where you were pretty okay. Attenborosaurus. Pattern is not much here. It only really affects the little spots on the flippers and some other stuff. Kind of poor pattern. Um, However, it is not the worst. This is the deluxe edition. So this is this guy right here. I like the Attenborosaurus. This might be my favorite aquatic in the game. However, I don't like aquatics. I think it goes behind the acro. I think we're putting it there. Australovenator. Our only Megaraptoran. That's kind of neat. It's not bad looking. The colors are very nice. Patterns are distinctive. Good range. I like the striping on the snout. It's a solid dino. We don't get much use out of it, but it is solid here. Australovenator. It's right here. I think Austra's pretty good. I think it's a low A for me. I think we'll put it there. But it's damn solid. Barbardactylus. A creature which shares no traits with what you typically assume from a Nyctosaurid. The colors are all right. This thing just doesn't feel like it has a role. Is this my least favorite pterosaur? It might be. Yeah, I think we'll put this in D. I think this is ahead of the Velociraptor, but it's not. It why? Like, what does this do for us in the game? You know, no, let's move that up. Let's put that at the bottom of C. I don't think that's quite D tier, but it's close. Baryonyx. This is a weird one too. I like the Baryonyx. I think that it's not very realistic, but I think it's got a unique vibe to it. I give it points for that. It is baffling that it doesn't have a larger claw on the hand. Like, that's the distinctive thing with Baryonyx, and then the films just don't do it. And then this obviously has to come off of the film design. Yeah, we get the Camp Cretaceous skins. Those are fine. Color palette's not the greatest, but it's a nice range of crocky looking skins. The patterns are pretty poor. Well, the patterns are actually, I mean, they're subtle, but maybe poor is going a little too far. They could be more varied. Baryonyx is alright. It's alright. I think this is going to be high B for me. Maybe controversial, but that's what we're doing. I also like the real animal, which it feels like a betrayal of the real animal to put the franchise Baryonyx high, but you know what? I think it's okay to like both. I think it's okay to like the rendition of the Baryonyx in the film, even though it's wildly inaccurate, and still like Baryonyx. I don't think that's a problem. Brachiosaurus. I am more of a fan of the classic Brachii than the 2001 in general, although I do like the 2001 Brachii as an alternative. That's solid. This is It's interesting that we get the male 2001 Brocky and not the female. Which actually kind of works as like a in-game sexual dimorphism thing because you get the chunkier male Brocky design to pair up with whatever other Brocky design you want to go with. You could try and get one that like matches. That'd be kind of neat. But the pattern is again for a sauropod is like really bad. Like really bad actually. The Brocky is just like shading. It's pretty poor. It's an iconic dinosaur and I like it, but the color options are they're just awful. Um, it's got like an iconic silhouette though. I don't think I can put the Brocky in C. It's gonna go at B tier. I think we're gonna get a lot of sauropods in the mid ranks here. I don't know. We'll have to. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe things will change. Kamara's an interesting one too. This is one of the few sauropods with a pattern that actually does something. Good color range on the pattern. Base colors are all right. He actually does have kind of like proper sauropod feet going on, sort of, where the back foot is more of a foot and the front foot is more walking on tippy toes. But he's got like too many nails and the feet don't like have quite the right shape to it. At least I don't actually know for sure what a Camarasaurus's feet look like. Just going off general sauropod knowledge on that. I think Kamara's pretty decent. The patterns are nice. The real question here. So I think it's better looking than Brocky, but the Brocky being like an iconic franchise dinosaur kind of gives it some points. And if you want a colorful sauropod, you do have the JP3 design for Brocky that you can use. Nah, I wouldn't put the Kamara behind the Brocky. It belongs in the same tier, but it's not great. Or it's not. Yeah, it's not super different. Like it's good, but it's not crazy good. Carcharodontosaurus. Let's give you a fair shake on colors. I mean, yeah, some of those blues are kind of cool. That's a nice looking one. Pattern is nonsense. Yeah, the Carchar is kind of poor. How poor? It's like D tier poor. Yeah, I think we'll put it there. Carnotaurus. Now, loves me a Carnotaurus. Loves me a Demon Carnotaurus. Toro's fine. And the regular Fallen Kingdom Carno's fine. It's fun to have all three of those together in a crew. These other colors aren't the worst. However, the patterns, oh my god, they suck. These are some of the worst patterns in the game. Never use anything but Rana. And Blank looks kind of bad. Like, there's occasionally you can get away with something by, like, the perfect color combo where it looks kind of like it's okay. Like, yeah, like Pilo with, like, or Papu with the oranges and reds. It's all right. But, boy, are those mediocre patterns. However, it's a Carnotaurus. It's one of the best dinosaurs. It's got sick animations. I love it. In the franchise and in the game, it's great. Pterodactyls. I have a fondness for this guy because he's from the novel. Good range of colors. The crest may not be entirely accurate, but it gives it some character compared to like Marodactylus. I like the Rana pattern's nice with having a little splash of color there. You could do some other colored stuff here. Like that's solid too. But not with that skin, but like as a color choice. Yeah, I mean, Pterodactylus is solid. It's solid. It's a franchise dinosaur. Smack dab in the middle of B, maybe? Ceratosaurus. Now, this is interesting. Ceratosaurus, story time. I did not give a shit about this guy in JP3, and I still don't. Because, he doesn't look that good. However, this Ceratosaurus looks great. Something about the way they've reshaped the head here versus what's in the film makes it look better. And it takes that really good Ceratosaurus color palette and applies it to a creature that doesn't look so awkward and weird. Because the color design here and in the film is great. Again, this is a fantastic creature with god awful patterns. Like, these patterns suck. Just terrible. Like, even if you can, like, even when the pattern stands out from the base skin, it's just like an ugly peanut butter color or something like this, where like the colors look almost like they're inverted. Like, the stripes are just too light compared to the base colors. But I do quite like Ceratosaurus. I think I can put him in S. I think we can do that. I think we can do it. I think it's fine. Chasmosaurus. Not an awful range of colors. The pattern is just frill and back stripes, but that's not bad. Compared to some other ceratopsians, that's a solid, some solid stuff in its own right. You're another mid-tier dinosaur, I think. I think I'm more inclined to use a Chasmo than I am an Amarga. Yeah. Chung Kingosaurus. Better make sure I'm not missing anything because of DLCs here. Hold on. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, okay. Chung Kingosaurus. Good colors. Pretty good patterns. Changes the coloring of the plate slightly. The pattern kind of just looks like he's been doused in something, but he can look like he's been doused in blood, and that's pretty metal, you know? I've always liked the Chung Kingosaurus. I like his little neck waddle. I like his little face. He's a cool dude, I think. He's got 8 tail spikes. That's pretty neat. It's probably my favorite Stegosaurian. Oops, I scrolled again. I'm a monster. Top of A tier, maybe? I think so. Coelophysis. Good colors. Pattern simple but effective. Good range of colors on it too. Looks really nice. You get the kink in the jaw there. Iconic animal in its own right, and some franchise history. Limited. It's in the counter toy line. Also, our only Coelophysis in the game. Triassic dinosaur's cool. Coelophysis is pretty damn good. That's an S tier. Low S tier. Maybe ahead of Cerato. I think it goes ahead of Cerato. I'm very fond of Triassic dinosaurs. I think it's a really interesting time period just for, like, the planet. Copy. Tiny, hard to see. Wide range of colors. That's an incredibly blue. Patterns are sufficient. Not awful. Iconic dinosaur in its own right in the franchise, of course. I like small dinos. I think we'll put it in A tier. I think it goes behind the Attenborough, but it's like right there. Corythosaurus. I have a newfound slight fondness thanks to this Hammond collection figure I have on my shelf now, which the video for that may or may not be out at this point. But that is a video I have recorded. Colors. Colors are all right. Patterns, on the other hand, are pretty poor. They're like very samey, and a lot of them do not mesh well with the other colors. Like, again, a case kind of like the Ceratosaur patterns, where the looks like no thought was put into the way the colors combine, and it feels like the color palette's kind of been inverted. A lot of people don't like the Corythosaurus. I understand the sentiment. I have more fondness for it than most, I would say, but it's still pretty low. I think we'll put it here after the Anki. Crichton. The armor's very turtly, which is not really what it ought to be. Color palette's all right. He's a little dude, which is nice. Pattern's okay for an Ankylosaur. It's still pretty poor generally, but I mean, yeah, it's fine. He's a little dude, but we got multiple little dudes, and it's not really as special as it could be. Um, yeah, I feel like he's lost a lot of potential luster he could have, and he's like really fallen to the wayside. Cryolophosaurus. A creature beloved by members of the community, certain members of the community. The pattern is interesting. I like the small spots going up over the shoulder and like down the rump here, without it just being like they're like very organized. Like it's very particular regions of the body that have spots on it. I do like that. A good range of colors, very distinctive look to it, even in terms of like the facial shape, ignoring the crest. I like the way the pattern like has these like speckles as that heads up to the head crest. Pretty good. Cryolophosaurus, solid. It's a solid dino. Um, put it in B for now, behind the berry. I'm more inclined to use the berry in a park than the cryo, which isn't entirely down to its design. It's also just kind of a frustrating creature sometimes in terms of game stats. Dino Kyrus. Good range of colors. Damn fine creature design. Good range of patterns. Distinctive. There's different vibes you can get from this stuff. Different regions of color that shift. Feathered Species Pack is high tier content. Um, how much do I like the big duck? I mean, I think the feathered pack is probably S's across the board, honestly. It's really good. Um, Deinonychus. People really hate this guy with his fin. I don't really hate the fins. Patterns are alright. What I do kind of hate is his like retro face and like body proportions. They really don't do it for me. Like essentially the same problems I have with this guy I have with like the Atrociraptor. I think the Deinonychus can go ahead there. Yeah. Dilophosaurus, iconic to the franchise. Incredibly inaccurate. Colors on the patterns are pretty eh. I feel like there's some big missed opportunities for some really splashy frill colors here. And like the color choices seem to be really random. Like the base pattern, Rana with this like orange and yellow is really iconic looking. And none of these other frill colors really do it for me. Like it'd be cool if some more thought was put into some cool combos. There's still some decent skin color patterns you can do here, mixing the colors together. The 2022 design is awful. It's bafflingly confusing. Everything about the Dominion Dilophosaurus is confusing. Why take a dinosaur with the most iconic skin color in the franchise, in the original film, and then just make it a muted, shitty gray blob with none of that really cool patterning with like the outline on it, and then just mute the frill down and the crests and make them just boring orange, and then why have them still be tiny when the one in Jurassic Park was a juvenile, and that's established canon since this Lost World and was established in behind the scenes stuff in the original film. Like Dominion, Dominion, Dominion. But I do like the dialogue quite a lot. Yeah, it's one of my favorite franchise dinosaurs. Even though the design is horrendously inaccurate. And I was super excited to see it come back in Dominion, and Dominion really dropped the ball. It really failed to do anything new with it. Dimetrodon. I find the pattern on the Dimetrodon kind of boring. Like it changes the frill or the sail, great, but like it feels like it's so muted. Like the portion of the frill that or the sail. I keep saying frill because of the Dilophosaur, that it actually changes. That it's not terribly exciting. I don't really care that much about the Dimetrodon as a creature. Um, and its presence in the film was baffling and strange. I think it goes ahead of the Barbadactylus, way down here in C tier. Oops, don't scroll. Oh my god. I'm ruining everything. Okay, the important lessons learned for browser sources in future videos. Um, make the window big and then don't shift it. Uh, so yes, next, after Dimetrodon, Dimorphodon. He's a tiny little guy, but he looks weird. The skin here, probably better with the pycnofibers. But overall, the Dimorphodon is kind of like whatever. And his thunder's been thoroughly stolen by the Geolopterus. I do like it more than Barbarodactylus, though. So I think it goes like right there. Diplodocus is next. Well, if that's actually the alphabetical ordering, yes, Diplo. I quite like Diplo as an animal. I like the way it looks. Colors aren't awful. The pattern is mediocre, but like you can notice it. Like that's noticeable. It's not bad. But I do quite like the Diplo, and I kind of wish it got more love than the game gives it. I mean, this is the case of something that gets like a bump for my own enjoyment of the species. I think I just really like Diplo. I like the long tail, and you know the vertical profile of it as a sauropod. I think is really fun. It's just like the good version of the Apatosaurus, ultimately, to me, in some sense. Dracorax, not even a real dinosaur anymore, but these are some really good patterns and skin colors. I like the model on this. The Dracorex is pretty good. Solid little dude. I like my little dudes, and the Dracorex is a good one. Dreadnoughtus, 2 variants. So we've got this thing, the Frontier Dreadnoughtus, with its weird face. It sucks. And we've got this thing, Dreadnoughtus 2022. The variant, good range of colors. A pattern that is noticeable, but not insane, but blends all right with skin colors. We got a pretty good film design here. So yeah, we've got the most discrepancy ever between variants, because this is an S tier design. One of the few things Dominion did right was this Dreadnoughtus. This goes way up here. I quite like the Dreadnoughtus. But then this worst dinosaur yet. So that's wow, what a glow up. Very impressive for Dominion to do something correct. Dryosaurus. Again, look at those colors. Fantastic. Little dude, great. Unique Hypsilophodon style body plan, which is cool. I wish we had more creatures like that, like Hypsilophodon, Opnelia, or like even things like Tyrannosaurus or like Thescelosaurus. It'd be cool. Yeah, Dryo's a good little dude. I think I like the Dryo slightly less than the Dracorex. They're very similar in that they fill that small herbivore role, but it's still pretty good. The Sungaripterus. Good colors. Very unique with that like hooked bill. He doesn't eat crabs in the game, which sucks. The wing pattern feels kind of tacked on. The crest is not awful, but like I don't really care that much about the Sungaripterus. It's whatever. I think we're gonna put you down here. I think we're gonna put you down here. And then we're gonna put the Sungaripterus. If I can find him, there he is. Yeah, I don't care that much about you. He deserves to be in a different tier than these guys, though. That's my thought process. Like, we're gonna de-rank those guys. They're sliding down there. They're pretty poor. All right, next, Edmontosaurus. It's a quadrupedal hadrosaur. Fantastic. Nice chunky neck. We got that nice little fleshy head crest that was discovered prior to JWE1 coming out. Good range of skin colors. Patterns are fine. Changes the head color and the stripes. They're not all winners, but I'm very fond of the Edmontosaurus. It's a great design. S tier. S tier, but low. I like it more than the Deinonychus, though. It'll go there. Elasmosaurus. Weird spiky boy. Colors are fine. Pattern. I mean, the pattern actually changes the color a lot, but it's a very undefined pattern. It's like kind of almost just tinting it in a way, because it's this very like splotchy like highlight scales thing. So when you're looking at it zoomed out, it just kind of looks like it's covered in barnacles almost, like multicolored barnacles. Weird design, patterns, whatever. Where do I think this belongs? I don't really care for the Elasmo. You go right there, Elasmosaurus. That's where you get to live. Euoplocephalus. An ankylosaurid with a proper, correct body plan, where he looks like a barrel in cross-section. Great. You see the armor is not this turtle shell. It's embedded in the skin. Great. Pattern. Color. Color is pretty cool. A good range. Pattern. It's just the stripe, but you know what? It's noticeable. It adds some distinction to the body. Like, you can see the way the stripes stand out. And I just like the look of the stripe between the scoots or the armored spikes or whatever you want to call them that stick out there. I am very fond of the Euoplocephalus. I think it's a winner. You live here. S tier dinosaur. Gallimimus, staple of the franchise. In game, the colors are mediocre. The pattern is bad, but it is iconic. Does he have weird teeth? I think he has weird teeth and like no proper beak. Yeah, this is just the Jurassic World design. And then if you do the 93 skin, it's still Jurassic World, right? Yeah, his teeth. Teeth are bad. Gallimimus should be fairly high ranked, except it's the awful Jurassic World design. And I don't know why. I still like it. It's still the second best Ornithomimosaur. Well, third if you count Deinonychus. We'll put you right here at the bottom of B tier. It feels like blasphemy, but it's just, why can't we have the good Jurassic Park design? Sucks. Geosternbergia. I've complained at length about people who say this is a franchise in a canonical creature. Skin colors are fine. Patterns are fine. Again, it's a pterosaur where it's just splotches on the wings and the head crest changes colors. It's not very inspired. Deluxe edition creature, it doesn't do much for me. I think it goes right behind the Desungaripterus down here. Yeah, pretty mad about the Geosternbergia. Giga. We got the Frontier Giga. Decent selection of colors. It's my understanding that the head shape here is not as accurate as it could be anymore. Well, we got the 2022 variant, which may have a more accurate head shape, if I'm not mistaken, probably ignoring the eyebrows, which are very exaggerated. The Godzilla spikes in the back, though, are like really baffling. Decent color palette option here. The pattern's nice. Like, the pattern's good. I like what it does to the face. It's a good pattern. This is a dinosaur I've seen cited by people before as being something that gets a good glow up by having these patterns to change between over the film design. I agree with that assessment. Regular Giga does not do much for me. Put him down here at the bottom of C tier, I think. I think I like him more than the Geosternbergia. And then the Dominion Giga is still kind of but he's doing better. C tier, but higher C tier. I think that's where it goes. I think that's my assessment. Gigant Spinosaurus. Colors are decent. Patterns are decent. I mean, the pattern's pretty good, actually. You get changes in the color of the spikes and plates. The pattern does stand out. It merges well with a lot of the different base colors. Like, there's a good range of stuff you can do on the Gigant. But boy, do I not give a shit about the Gigant Spinosaurus. That's not the fault of Frontier. That's the fault of the Gigant Spinosaurus as a creature. I don't know, man. His weird little spikes and his giant shoulder, or his weird little plates and his giant shoulder spines, it doesn't do it for me. It's pretty weird. We'll put him in C though because he's got good colors. So that's at least gets him that far. Herrerasaurus. Another Triassic dinosaur. He's got 2 toes lifted off the ground there, 5-toe foot instead of 4, like double dew claws kind of, which is true and cool. His hands are atrocious, just awful JP style hands, which sucks. Very disappointing. The skin colors, I mean, the colors are probably fine, right? Good range of different colors. But this is one of the rare dinosaurs where the blank pattern sometimes is often better. A lot of these patterns suck. Again, it looks like it's got a skin disease. You would get some combinations that are good, but a lot of them are pretty poor. This is one of my favorite dinosaurs in general, in the game and in real life. And so I wish the patterns were quite a lot better. I think it goes behind the Carno because it just doesn't look as good in game. But I really am quite fond of the Herrera. I think it's easily my favorite small carnivore. So it goes there. Okay. Well, I think we're going to break this video in half, so let's stop here and take a break, and we'll be back for part 2.